All righty. Happy Monday, guys. Welcome to week 11. We are well on the downward stretch of our challenge. So thanks for being here today. I appreciate it. We're going to get started with check-ins as we always do. And Jeanette, since you were the first one logged on today, we'll start with you. How's it going?
Okay, good. I need to watch my water as the weather's getting colder. And I said this last time as well. I'm not drinking water as much, and I could feel it. So I need to do that. Alka-Geysers in the morning, doing pretty good. I'm hoping now that we can add berries, I might add a berry or two to it just to help with the flavor. But the ginger was huge, made a big difference. Also, I was traveling this week, so I got I have a metal Yeti to drink water out of or anything else. I kept my Alka-Geyser in there and it did not discolor or change or anything. So every morning I was able to have a perfect Alka-Geyser, which was huge. Let's see. I did transition with potatoes because as I was saying earlier, I've been outside all weekend, actually for 4 days straight, and I was getting very sleepy. I wasn't getting enough food. So I did, and I'll confess, I did have bread. I had a hot sandwich because I had to keep my focus, and I was struggling to keep my focus. I was getting so tired of being out in the cold.
And so let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you pay attention to what the outcome of that was?
Yes, and I did not eat the bread all at once. I ate it as I was getting sleepy. It gave me a quick burst of energy as when I needed it. So I looked around.
You knew you were putting sugar in specifically.
I absolutely knew. But basically, the weather changed. We were out in a snowstorm, and none of us were wearing proper gear. But we don't stop what we were doing, the activities. So people were pulling out Snicker bars, candy bars to get quick energy. And I went, well, I already ate the turkey and the sandwich they provided, so I'll just start eating a little bit of bread. It's better than just eating a candy bar.
For sure. And I appreciate that. One of the things that we're learning here is how to make less bad choices when we have to make less than optimal choices.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm going to ask, I think I know the answer, but have you been on the scale or no?
No.
Okay. Can you see it? Can you feel it and see it in your clothes?
So I was feeling pretty good before my trip, but I know that I ate crummy food and I'm not feeling as good. So it's amazing to me how freaking quick that happened.
Yeah.
3 days, 3 days out in the field and eating less than optimal food. And I feel it.
So what will you do differently when you go back the next time?
Honestly, my choices had nothing to do with food. It had to do with weather gear. I didn't have the right weather gear. So I think if I had the right weather gear, I wouldn't have needed the quick energy to keep warm.
But you can also, take snacks that are going to be able to serve you better so that you can make a better choice, right?
Yeah. Cucumbers didn't warm me.
No.
Tuna salad didn't warm me. Yeah. It was just bitter cold.
Yeah. So in those circumstances, nuts would probably help because fat will help to warm you.
Yep. I had nuts. I had nuts. I had beef jerky, maybe chicken soup or chicken broth, something hot herbal teas.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's tough when you're stuck in the cold like that. And of course, better gear.
Better gear was the first mistake. I had all the food, and it was in the middle of Nevada. Who knew it could get so cold?
And is it? Are they in Vegas or Pahrump? They're in Pahrump, right?
Pahrump. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pahrump.
Yeah. Oh, it gets really cold in the desert.
Well, it dropped 30 degrees in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not prepared.
I've had that experience. I was the third most senior, not by age. I like to make that point. Motorcycle safety instructor in Southern Nevada for almost 15 years. And we would have days on the range where we'd have that happen. In fact, I had one day that was so bad, I dismissed 3 students for hypothermia.
Mm-hmm.
I had to send them away. You're not equipped. You're a danger to yourself and others. You can't continue.
Yeah, I caught my pinky in a magazine and didn't even feel it. My hands were so frozen until that night. I went, where the heck did this come from?
Yeah.
So
crazy stuff. Well, glad you
Yep.
made it through safe and sound.
Thank you.
Congratulations for that. Sounds like you're on the right track, doing the right things. And it really is all about noticing, what the effect of what you're choosing to eat is, and then what you could do differently the next time that would prevent you from having to do something less than optimal. So,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is not feeling guilty or disappointed. It's, you know what, you're cold, you're freezing, you got to pay attention. What are my options? Well, these are my options. Well, let me check the least of the evil options,
yep.
and then just be better about it next time. On Monday, start off with the Alka-Geyser, make sure your food prepped, and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes us so different is the very fact that there shouldn't be any guilt because you're making conscious decisions. And it's not a failure. It's an experiment. It's a choice. It's a temporary aberration, and you can go right back to what you know you want to be doing. So good deal. Good deal. Linda.
Good afternoon. Okay, hope everyone's doing well this Monday morning or afternoon. Water's good, drinking a lot of water, still peeing a lot, still true to my Alka-Geyser. I like lime juice and just a squeeze of it. So I was happy to get a little bit of fruit back in my Alka-Geyser along with the salt. No cheats whatsoever, been true to the process. And the one little thing that keeps coming up for me is as I go into the grocery store and see the little magazines for your holiday dinners, I'm like, no gravy, unless I can make gravy without flour, So I have a lot of things on my mind, and it might just be make a traditional dinner that everybody else likes, and then I'll make something for myself on the side. Like I know I can have the turkey, I know I can have the green beans, but not in the butter, right? So I have these conscious decisions to make, and so I'm kind of looking for recipes for myself for that day.
So you can have gravy. You just can't have gravy made with white flour or cornstarch.
Right, that's what I mean. I need to find a recipe for the gravy that I can have.
Yeah,
I'm not going to punish everybody else who's not on this diet or this lifestyle path, but I'm gonna let them do as they wish, and I'm just gonna worry about myself.
well, don't think of it as punishment.
No, it's not. I'm thinking it is.
Really, well, hang on. You said you're not going to punish everybody else who's not on this lifestyle.
Oh, what I
You
mean,
mean by treating them well?
what I mean is when I was on the paleo kick, one year we had a paleo Thanksgiving. It wasn't well received. I thought it was great. It was really tasty and healthy, but nobody else did. So that, to me, that they felt like they were punished because I'm on this path that I shared with them, and they didn't ask to be on it. So I'm going to just make the traditional dinner for them. And then if anybody wants it healthier, they're welcome to whatever it is I make as well.
Yeah, because I think in reality, what you're making for yourself doesn't really need to be very different from what they're having. You can make gravy with arrowroot flour.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. And basically it's the same as making any other gravy. You're just substituting arrowroot flour for wheat flour, and it's fine. And Jeanette just put in the chat, you can use almond flour. You can do that as well. You can do a combination of them.
Okay. And they like the traditional stuffing with the bread. I tried making a stuffing with almond flour bread.
No,
didn't work out so well. Blah. So they can have that. I'm never a big stuffing eater. I used to like the mashed potatoes, gravy, veggies, and the turkey, right? And the eggnog and brandy.
So you can do cauliflower mash instead of regular mashed potatoes.
I can make the garlic ones for me, and that's probably what I'll do is make my garlic mashed potatoes with cauliflower. I've still got that nasty, not a nasty thought. It's fabulous in my eyes. Is I still want a glass of eggnog with brandy, but I don't want to start now. I want to have it on Thanksgiving. So my question is, I enjoy the taste. And when you're doing this lifestyle, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. There is choices I can make that are not going to be as healthy, but to help satisfy some of that, to have it and then get back on track for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Is that the right way to think about it? Because I struggle. Is that the food devil giving me permission? Is that the angel giving me permission? Why do I need permission? This is food freedom. It's a choice that I want. So I'm a little gray today as far as, is this really what I want to do? Is it the food devil? Or is it really okay to give yourself a little bit of freedom every now and then and really enjoy the things that you enjoy having?
Well, it's okay to do that if you are truly enjoying them, but part of your task is really to find out if that's true or not. Are you really enjoying that? So, you want to have eggnog on Thanksgiving, have eggnog on Thanksgiving, but pay attention to what led up to doing that and how you felt about it, both physically and emotionally, as you did it, and then make the choice if this is something that you're going to do occasionally, or if it's going to be below your freedom line, if it's going to be down here and you're just never going to do it again.
Right.
Because it's bad for you. I mean, that.
I do. And I also know that a lot of things are bad for me, but I also want to live a little and kind of enjoy some of the bad stuff.
Hang on. Let's talk about that.
Well, I just wanted to say one thing. The one thing that I will always remember is the second taste as good as the first. And that is what really has my attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is that you want to enjoy some of the bad things. Let's live a little. Is that really true?
On occasion, I do want a glass of eggnog. I enjoy the hell out of it. Always loved it.
You have always loved it. What if that's no longer true?
Then I won't drink it. If I take a sip of that and it's like, oh, I love it, and I take a drink, it's like, oh no, not so much anymore. I've got that taste now, right? So I can let it go.
Yep.
Yes.
And you'll need to do some experimenting to figure out what those things are. But one of the things I want you to be really careful about is don't put your thought process in the position of saying it's okay to have the bad stuff, because that opens up the entire world that you don't really want to open up again, do you?
Right. No. Right.
So you can say, I understand that this thing, let's use eggnog. I understand that this is really not good for me, but I know I've always really enjoyed the flavor of it and the way that it makes me feel. And I'm going to try it. But pay attention. And it may be, it goes below your food freedom line. It may be, it's like right on top. It'll be something you do very occasionally. And you're not going to know without the experimenting.
Yeah. And I also wanted to share with you that I'm not missing cheese.
Good. Isn't that amazing?
I never thought I'd say that. And I'm like, we made tacos over the weekend, and I didn't eat any, but the cheese was there. It was all melted. I'm like, it just reminded me melting into my gut and going like this. I had this vision going on in my head. And so, that is a good thing. So it's not everything that I used to enjoy that I'm thinking about, and that a whole almond milk recipe. Oh my God, Sally. And it's so good, and I can just make it myself. It's not paying the $5 that I pay for. I could just pour my organic almonds into, and soak them. So I'm really happy about that.
When you told me what you were paying for almond milk, all I could think was, holy crap-a-noli.
I know, it's expensive. But it was good. It was pure. There was nothing else in it. It was just almonds, period.
Yeah. And I mean, Stan and I looked when we were shopping last week at all the stores, at everything that they had, and we could not find a single solitary one that did not have sugar and or other additives that nobody wants, right?
Yeah, you'd have to buy it online, I guess.
Maybe.
We have some really good stores that carry this oddball, weird, good stuff.
But to my way of thinking, I'd rather, use a cup of almonds that cost me like less than $1.
Yeah, exactly. And something like that you made this morning, and I like the fiber. I would never take the fiber out. Fiber is the most key thing to eat it as a whole, so your body can digest it properly. But I just, that could last me 2 weeks. Put in a little bit of my tea, put some in my coffee or whatever. So yeah, it can last a long time, and I can use it in anything like soups or whatever.
Yep.
You know, to help make it more creamy.
You
Because I
know.
noticed coconut milk was pretty much on the bottom of things like try not to eat on the food guide this week.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but that makes sense. I mean, because it is really rich.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, so
the Alka-Jaiser didn't have anything in it that was a root vegetable or fruit. So I'm gonna maybe try later today to have maybe a half a sweet potato
mhm,
and
Good.
see how that works. That's it. I'm not gonna dive into all this crap at once. I just kind of want to see what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
but so far so good?
Yeah.
Good, good. Same question for you. Have you been on the scale?
No, on Friday. And
Okay.
I only do it once a week. Yep.
Good.
I'm not gonna get into that crazy, frantic, oh my God, I'm up, oh my God, I'm down. I'm just like, it's gonna be once a week. If I'm up or down, I deal with it once, right? And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to deal with it all week long.
Because scales are for fishes.
And they are, and and maybe one day, maybe I had too much salt and I'm carrying extra water. Who knows?
Who knows?
That could be, yeah.
It could be anything. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're doing great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Absolutely awesome. All righty. Stan, last but not least today.
Hi. I eased into the buffer zone with carrots in my chicken soup, and as far as I can tell, it was fine. When I got on the scale last night, however, for the first time in close to a week, I actually had gained a pound rather than losing any, and that was a bit of a shock. So I kind of thought back over the week and tried to get some sense of what was going on. And I think, I got the words for this from Eric's video, but I think I've fallen into the habit again of mindlessly eating. And my particular thing is pistachios currently. It's not like they're an okay food and I can have as much of them as I want. And it's not even like I want as much of them as I've been having. It's just I sort of start eating them and then don't stop for a while. I think what's going on is that I'm not having what I really want for taste sensation, and instead I'm having something that is at least on the approved list, but then trying to make up with mindless quantity. So that may or may not be related to why I gained weight over the last week. I don't know, but I do know it's the whole mindless eating thing is a real pitfall for me, and I hadn't realized it was getting out of control, but clearly it was. So I'm again resolved to pay attention to what I'm eating more than I have been, both not just what I'm eating, but how much. And it's a tough line to draw because I know we're not counting calories.
Right.
So I need to basically, put a portion out, and that's the portion. And if I can look at that portion and not feel like it's too much, then I'm okay, as long as I don't then go and get another portion.
Well, and I think the other piece of that, Stan, is you put a portion out, you eat that portion, you think you want more, wait at least 15 minutes, and then decide if you're actually hungry or if you're just satisfying an emotional hunger and you don't really want more.
Right. I think something that's been hard for me is reconciling that with we're supposed to not let ourselves get hungry.
Right. But
which says
yeah.
We're supposed to be eating when we're not hungry.
Yeah, and y'all are far enough along the path at this point that now when we say don't get hungry, what I mean is don't let yourself get starving hungry, where you're going to start making bad decisions.
Okay.
Okay. It's okay to be a little bit hungry and then take care of it. And especially when there's been a pattern of mindless eating, and we'll use the pistachios as an example, it is easy to say, oh, well, I want some more. But the better thing to do now is to decide if you want more just because you want them, if you're satisfying an emotional need, or if you want more because you actually want more food.
Gotcha.
And more food is perfectly appropriate. But more to satisfy an emotional need might be a better way to do that.
Not so much, right? Right. I tried making cocoa as the Aztecs might have done it, according to my reading from a long time ago, which so I could be misremembering. But it's basically cocoa powder, hot water, cinnamon, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And it was not terrific. Oh, and vanilla. And it was not terrific. So I hear that you posted your almond milk recipe, so I'm going to try it with that and see if that's okay.
Yeah, and you may notice in the comments, I think I said that when I'm doing it like to make hot cacao, I wind up having to thin it down because when I heat it, it gets too thick.
Right, that was in your cocoa drink recipe too.
Okay, yeah, because otherwise it's just it's like too thick. And then I will tell you that if that's still not satisfactory to you, when you're not in deep spring, it's perfectly okay to add a little bit of maple syrup or coconut sugar to it to get just a little bit of sweet in there. You don't want to do that when you're in deep spring, but at any other time it would be okay as long as you're not having 6 cups a day. If we're talking about an occasional thing, it's fine. So cool. And yeah, it sounds like you're really right on track. You're paying attention to what's going on, so that's awesome. And I'm curious, and I'm really curious about this for all of you, but I'm going to start with you, Stan, since you're unmuted at the moment. Having gained this awareness, how does that make you feel in terms of really being able to have this be sustainable? The awareness around what the effect of food is on you.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. I got kind of frustrated over the weekend and was having crazy thoughts like, I'm just going to eat what I want to eat. And I didn't act on those thoughts, but the fact that I'm still having them at this stage is a little disconcerting. So how sustainable it'll be for the long term, I honestly don't know. I'm not sure I'm really prepared to give up wine, for example. And I know what we say about wheat, but I'm also not sure I'm prepared to give up bread. I'm certainly prepared to make it even more seldom than it used to be, but to give it up totally, I honestly don't know.
And that's okay. I don't think you're in a position where you're going to want to throw everything back in that we took out, right?
Right.
So,
right.
One of the things that I've always said, and I got this from one of my mentors years ago, is the thing that we do today is much better than the thing that we failed to do yesterday. So moving forward, when we're finished with the challenge, the improvements that you've made have put you in a much better position than what you were doing previously, which was better than the average American by far. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There's nothing that says that you can't have wine. I didn't give up my bourbon. Gave it up for a while, but didn't give it up completely. I like my bourbon. And, so that's my choice. And that's what this freedom line is about, right? It's about making those choices between what's really unacceptable, and that's going to be below the line, what's going to be, occasional, what's going to be less occasional, a little more frequent, and the stuff that you really want to be eating all the time. Those are the choices.
Well, I think the Alka-Geyser is sustainable for me. I'm wondering, when you mentioned wine, I'm taking it that wine would definitely not be a spring food because the alcohol metabolizes to sugar.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And so, when your goal is weight loss and you are going to be in spring, you probably want to be taking a vacation from it at that point.
Gotcha.
Now that said, you might be in spring, you might be out for dinner once during that time and decide you're going to have a glass of wine. Is that going to ruin everything? No, it's not going to ruin everything. It'll slow the process down a little bit, but it's not going to ruin it.
Okay.
And certainly learning how to think about our food choices differently I think has made a big impact for everybody on what we are able to do going forward. Is that a fair statement for you, Stan?
Yes, I think so.
Cool. And I kind of want to check in on the same thing with Linda and Jeanette as well. So Linda, let me start with you. But you have to unmute.
I am. There we go. Okay, what would you like to know, Miss Sally?
So when you think about moving forward,
Mhm.
do you have concerns about having this be able to be sustainable?
No. Mm-mm. No, I can give up bread. I gave it up before. I did perfectly fine and had stomach aches. I can give up dairy, I think, very easily. If I accidentally eat it, I'll be watching out how I feel. What I mean by accident, when you're out with friends or something's
Mhm.
buried in there you didn't know about. Okay. So I think I'm good. And that was something, the dairy was really a concern for me.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. And so, but I feel like I don't crave it. I don't want it. I'm not needing it. I do like my vegetables and my butter. That's butter might be a little bit challenging from time to time. So it might be, here's my line. It might just be under there on occasion, right? It's not going to be above the line at all. So, but the avocado oil seems to really be satisfying right now. So I'm grateful for that.
And how do you feel about olive oil?
I like olive oil, it's fine, but avocado oil and coconut oil are just really best for hot heat.
Well, for
fry
cooking,
brown.
certainly.
Yeah,
But
for
for
cooking,
example, broccoli or green beans or something that I want to put butter on, I just drizzle a little olive oil on instead.
Right, and I think it's good for me. It's going to be olive oil and salt.
Yeah,
I wasn't
that's
a
exactly
salt
it.
eater before, but it seems like the more salt I eat, the less crampy I get.
Uh-huh.
So I'm eating salt.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Pink salt, of course.
Mhm.
I really don't have any concerns. I mean, I can give up wine again if I want. I may have an occasional glass of a good quality wine. It's going to have to be the high end stuff for me to drink it. And I really think that whole sugar, I'm going to stick with keeping the sugar out of my diet from day-to-day things that I buy at the store. Really have that watchful eye again. I just found it just hideous. The experience was like, oh my, even bacon. Who put brown sugar? Who would sprinkle brown sugar on bacon? It doesn't make sense to me, right? So that was something I
Don't knock it if you haven't tried it.
I have tried it, and anything with sugar is good. See, they try to brainwash you with all the food. So I'm privy to that game, and I'm sorry, Stan, I'm gonna have to knock it because I don't believe in poisoning our food and everything that we have, especially for our grandchildren. And you talk about my grandchildren buying a whole lot less junk for them. If you're hungry, I'll make you a meal. If you're not hungry, here's your choices. So, now without all the junk food, I might have one cupcake here for them as a treat after dinner only. So, and that's it. So yeah, making some good changes, I think.
Good. Jeanette.
I do think it will be sustainable, especially once I can put berries or an apple in my Alka-Geyser, because the ginger is helping, but to me it has absolutely no flavor, and I've been starting to kind of gag on it a little bit and just kind of hold my nose and drink it. So I think once I put apples or the berries this weekend, I'll be fine. I can absolutely do that. That's sustainable. I think for me, the thing that I have noticed is the sugar, unbelievable amount of addiction to the sugar. And even when Eric was talking this morning, he was talking about sugar and he hit his arm like he's looking for a vein to shoot up. And I went, and that's how I need to treat it. I've never done drugs. I need to really be aware that this is a drug. But this weekend I went to a class, and one night we had dinner at a vineyard, and people were drinking wine. I didn't have a problem saying, no, thank you. I'm just, and because I also spent all day outside, I didn't want to have it something that's just, I knew it was going to dehydrate me and give me a headache the next day. So I said, no, thank you. Didn't have any problems. They brought out, everyone had meals that were prepared for them. And I had made a specialty request as to what I didn't want. I got a beautiful tomato avocado salad, which was great with a slice of lean fish on the side, not a problem. And they brought out a tray of desserts on everyone's table. And I didn't touch it. I didn't have a desire to touch it. I will tell you, I did have coffee though. I had half a cup of coffee because I'd been outside all day. I was just struggling to get warm. I tried herbal tea. It wasn't working because I was just in that cold, foggy brain. So I had half a cup of coffee, but I was so exhausted. I slept like the dead. So I do think it'll be sustainable.
And I mean, remember from many, many weeks ago, Eric says that sometimes it's okay to use coffee as a hack.
Yeah.
You know, so really nothing wrong with that. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. I think one of the things that's really important to keep in mind going forward is, you know, when we get the urge to eat that food, whatever that food is,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what that is, because, you know, the thing I noticed for me is I don't really have cravings at all anymore for anything. I have craving for food because I get hungry periodically, but there's like no cravings. But when you think you want to eat that food and you think that food's going to make you feel better, the first question is, make you feel better than what? So what's the feeling that you have currently? And what's the emotion that you're trying to achieve? And really try and get a handle on those two things before moving forward with eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you notice that, that's a trigger emotion. And it's triggering some emotion. That food is triggering some emotion that you're trying to get to. So you want to pay attention to what you're trying to avoid and what it is that you're trying to achieve. And if you're making the choice to go ahead and eat that food, really pay attention to your food dialogue, your timeline, and then decide whether or not that was the choice you really wanted to be making at that point, or if it's another lesson to be learned and finding a different way to satisfy that emotion instead. And that's a really big part of this going forward. And what'd you say? What about my bourbon? Craving? I wouldn't call it a craving per se.
Ooh, the food devil. Go ahead, Sally, have a shot.
Hey, I already said it wasn't something I was
teasing
willing to give
you.
up long term. Yeah, absolutely. So
Well,
It's
so
all good.
at the vineyard where we had dinner, they put fresh bread in front of you, and I just put it aside. And my son said, well, Mom, you had bread today at lunch. Why are you not having it tonight at dinner? And my son knows the deal. He's sitting there poking me. And I said, well, this afternoon I was freezing. I couldn't stay awake and I needed quick energy. So I ate it intentionally. This is just because it's warm and I'm sure it's delicious and it's fantastic, but I don't want it. And he went, okay, just checking. So I got the food devil and the child devil, helping me through this. But I'll go to grab something mindfully, and he'll sit there and go, so are we thinking about what we're eating? And so he'll ask me questions because he knows what's going on. And I'll be like, screw you, I want a pistachio, back off. But it is nice having someone to help me keep accountable and say, excuse me, why are you eating that again? So, but I hope that this will be sustainable, Sally. I do.
Good. And I'm pretty sure that it will be for all of you, and everybody's going to choose exactly what level they want that to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why we have choices. Dana, happy Monday. You want to unmute yourself and we'll do your check-in? There we go.
Well, I didn't change anything over the weekend. Alan might have COVID.
Oh no.
Oh,
So we'll find out. We should find out today.
How did that happen?
I think he got it hunting.
Wow.
Hmm.
Keep us posted.
Yes, for sure.
He's feeling better, so he'll be fine.
Good, 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 good. So no buffer zone changes over the weekend.
No,
And what are your plans for easing into the buffer zone?
easing into the regular,
Sorry, yeah.
easing into summer. I thought I'd make a stew today, maybe tomorrow, because I didn't get it started today. And with sweet potatoes, see if Mr. Burke will eat it. Nothing tastes good right at the moment, so he's not eating.
Well, that's probably not the worst thing in the world for him.
No, it's not, other than he's diabetic and he needs to eat.
Oh, there is that. There is that. Cool. Everything else is okay? Water, alkalizers?
Yep.
Cool. What we've been talking about quite a bit, you might want to go back and pick up the beginning of this on the replay. We've been talking about how to sustain when we're finished with the challenge and what kinds of things are going to be easy and which ones are going to be more difficult. And I know we've talked about for you that one of the things that you're fully intending to put back in is coffee, right?
Yeah, coffee. I might do wine only on weekends.
And are you thinking you're going to go back to the same quantity of coffee that you had been previously, or are you thinking any changes there?
I only drank 2 cups, so that's not very much.
Cool. Cool. Any other thoughts about other things at this point that you think you definitely want to put back in?
I'm gonna try one food at a time and see how my body feels, because I'm feeling pretty good now and I don't necessarily want to have some of the problems I was having before. So
Good plan.
if we
Definitely a
figure out
good
which
plan.
food it is and can eliminate that, it'll be easier.
For sure. For sure. All righty. Any questions for you or comments or concerns?
I'm not concerned about anything. I mean, I know adding foods back in, I'm not afraid of the sugar monster at all, because I've been off sugar for almost 6 months now. And it's not even very tempting anymore. Continuing to watch labels won't be a challenge either. I mean, that
Cool.
I have to figure out how to make Allen's barbecue sauce without sugar.
How to make
I don't
Allen's
see
what?
experimentation, barbecue sauce without sugar.
Ah. It's doable. It'll probably take some experimentation, but I'm sure it's doable.
Well, I'll try with everything except the sugar and see how it tastes. But to get him off it, we'll have to wean him down.
Yeah, and one of the things that you can do for that as well is instead of using like refined sugar, try maple syrup and just cut down on the quantities. Because, you know,
Use brown sugar now. Maple syrup would be a whole different flavor. I'll have to think about that. What he likes about his barbecue sauce is that it's not overpowering, but he also likes a lot of sugar. Although he didn't even like barbecue sauce yesterday. So
well, there you go. Stan says maybe honey. And if what he likes, if what he likes is that it's not overpowering, you might look at coconut sugar too,
that's a good idea.
because that has a really mild flavor.
That's a good idea. I'll try
Cool.
that first.
And have you been on the scale?
I have not.
Okay. Good for you. You're looking good.
All my pants are loose. My jeans, I only have like 4 pairs of pants in this size. So
Nice.
just got to lose a little more around the middle and the 12s will fit, because the hips Pips are fine. Just can't, we have gaposis.
I completely understand. All right, I think we've covered everything that we need to for today. Stan, any issues outstanding for you? Questions, comments, concerns?
Nothing I can really think of at the moment. If something occurs to me, I know where to find you.
True enough. All righty. Hey, I want to thank you guys for hanging in there again. We will see you back on Friday. We got a couple weeks of challenge left. And I'll tell you, in the last week, we're going to be talking a lot about how to be able to move forward in the Living Wild Fits phase. Wow, that was hard to say. So I'm looking forward to that part as well. And, post your successes up on Facebook and have a lovely week. We'll see you Friday. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.